Good evening, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and that is withholding energy, conserving energy, not just to have more energy, but to make it more effective when you need it. And I'll explain what I mean in a short video. So, a lot of parents I've noticed tend to have a lot of energy around their kids. And I mean, there's a good way to do that and a bad way to do that. Not just parents, but teachers and, people between, adults between adults also. But they sometimes are very wasteful with their energy, to be polite. And what I mean is consider the practice of getting a crying baby to stop crying. Now, there's an age-old trick to make this happen. When your baby is perhaps colicky or just cranky and it cries and cries, sometimes is a known, proven way to get the baby to stop crying, to speak softly. Maybe you've heard this, and to use less energy instead of more energy. And by doing so, the baby is compelled to reduce its own noise so that it can hear what you're doing and saying. This is the idea. The idea is to reserve or withhold the extra energy so that when it's needed, it has an impact. And I see a lot of parents, God bless them, they yell at their kids and they order them around and they roll out all these rules and threats before it's even called for sometimes. And all it does is it desensitizes the kid to their voice. You know what I mean? So an alternative, and I'm not trying to be an expert, I'm not trying to claim that I am, an expert parent, but I have an idea that I think is a good idea for this. And it's just about interpersonal dynamics mainly, but also and especially about dealing with people who are still learning how to control their own energy, especially. To be patient, obviously, first of all, to be tolerant and patient to a fault almost, until it becomes, actually critical that action happens. And at that point, like, say you're with some people and they're being perhaps a little bit rude and energetic, and as long as nobody's, being hurt or endangered by the energy or the activity, maybe choose to control yourself and suppress whatever feelings you might have. Choose to exercise patience and tolerance in every single one of those cases until there's an actual problem or threat where people need to actually do something, like in a hurry. And then you have that sensitivity, because at that moment when it matters, if you raise your voice, everybody's going to notice immediately. They're going to be, whoa. This is how it works, So not that raising your voice is the main thing, but they will hear what you have to say. They'll notice first that you're speaking differently if you waited until that moment, until it was important, right? And then they'll on a second guess or second look, they'll process what you're saying, and if it's of vital importance, it will register. Whereas if you're just yelling all day, every day, nothing registers. So it's kind of a bigger idea, not just with interpersonal dynamics or children or employees or whatever, but in a bigger sense, interacting with projects or associates or anybody, anything really, where not necessarily a high level of energy is called for or required, but to reserve that for when it's actually needed, so that there's a window of opportunity. Those windows tend to be sparse. They're few and far in between. So I guess, take stock, be grateful for any kind of receptivity, sensitivity to projects or I'm sorry, not projects, but energy that you may need to send towards a person or project. That's what I meant to say. So reach out if you have questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.